Hey guys, how you going? It's Christos here, aka the FRAG. I want you to say hello to my friend Barry the Bomber. This guy's loaded with everything, and he's even here to protect me too. So Barry's going to land out because he's got to refuel. Okay, so he's running out of fuel, and hopefully Maverick is going to help him out land on the aircraft carrier. Okay, so today I'm going to showcase the TonePros bridge. This is the T3BP-N, or the Tango 3 Bravo Papa November. So it might just look like an ordinary bridge to you guys, but I'll tell you what, this thing is loaded with features. It's well thought of, and it's the craftsmanship and the engineering that goes into this is nothing short of absolutely brilliant. So whilst I've got it on close up, I'll just go through it in a bit of detail. So you've got your bridge saddles here. You've got these bridge bushings that sit into the guitar, and then you've got these bridge screws that screw into the bridge bushing that allows you to raise the bridge contingent on the particular height of action that you want, whether you want your strings high from the fretboard or low. You'll also note if I turn it around that there's a hexagon screw on each side. I don't know if you guys can see that. And what that does is that it allows you to tighten, really tighten the bridge onto the bridge screws. So one bane that we guitarists have, and also you also get a hexagon screw adjuster for tightening and loosening the hexagon screws. One of the problems that we guitarists have, and it's a bit of a bane, and here I've got an example using an old Gibson bridge. It sits on the actual bridge pole, and then when you take your strings off, you know, if you want to change strings or something happens, and all of a sudden this goes flying off, and before you know it, it's dented and, you know, hit your guitar, made a dent, and it's just unsightly, especially when you're spending thousands of dollars on a U.S.A. made Gibson. So by having those hexagon screws there, you avoid that problem, and it fixes the bridge in place, and that way it preserves the height of your strings. So every time you change strings, you don't have to keep fiddling around. Do you want them lower? Do they have to go higher or anything like that? It's really good. And another thing I just want to point out is that on each of the bridge saddles, you'll see that it's notched. So from the factory, they actually use a file to create a groove in there where the string rests. And that's fantastic, because if you buy a bridge as a replacement for your guitar, 9 times out of 10, that won't be there. And then you've got to buy a particular file, or you've got to take it to someone to do it for you, which is going to cost you even more money above the equipment that you may have bought or whatever. Whilst this is done for you, and it's done at the right spot, it's done right in the center of each bridge saddle, and it just looks really nice, and you don't have to second guess as to how what spacing you need to use and what depth of the actual groove. It's done for you. So all you have to do is just remove the bridge from your guitar and replace it. And you'll also notice that here, this is the bridge pole from the Gibson, and this is the bridge pole from the TonePros. You can see that the TonePros is a bit more shinier. And what I did was I actually removed the Gibson ones, and as you can see, they just screw off. And then I just replaced it with the TonePros, and the TonePros is a direct replacement into the bridge bushing, because it's got the same contoured threads and also the same spacing of threads as well. So that way you maintain, you know, color matching between the finishes as well. And the bushing itself is actually in the body of the Gibson guitar, so it doesn't matter what color really that is, because the bridge screw sits above it. What I did find, and here's an example here on my Gibson Les Paul. So I've got the TonePros bridge fitted right on there, and you'll see that the string spacing is really, really good. It's spot on, and even the string spacing to the edge of the fretboard is perfect either side. Sometimes I see some Gibsons and the strings are really to one side or the other, and it can make playing and tuning and so forth a real frustration and challenge. One of the contentious matters I find on other people that have posted their reviews on this particular TonePros bridge is what direction should it be facing. You'll see here the way that I've done it. I've put the screws forward facing forward, and there's a hexagon screw each side, and they face forward. From what I've heard, apparently, supposedly, allegedly, it's supposed to sit the other way around. And I've even seen people actually remove the screws, which is an arduous task, change the actual bridge saddles to face the other way, and then reassemble it all together. I don't want to do that. It's, you know, you want to make sure that you keep the bridge in the same way that it came from the factory. My view is that, as you can see, guys, the back of the bridge saddle is being carved at an angle. And in my view, I think this is the correct direction. Other people may disagree, that's fine. But for me, as you can see, the back of the bridge saddle matches the approach angle and contour of the string from the tail piece. And that for me is good enough to leave it as it is like that. The great thing about this particular bridge is the one that I had before was the Gibson ABR1, which is much thinner, and there's a wire that goes from pretty much from each hexagon screw hole. So there's another hole, but it hasn't got hexagon screws, and it actually goes over the bridge saddle screws and keeps them in place. And that very thin, flimsy wire on the Gibson bridge, if it falls off, all the screws and everything are going to fall off inside. That's pretty much what's holding all the screws and the bridge saddles together. And what happens is that you can only tighten that wire so far across to make it fit to the other hole. And because it's a bit looser, when you do play, you will notice rattling. And that was one of the biggest frustrations I had with the ABR1 Gibson bridge, is that it rattled a lot. So since I've removed that and put the TonePros bridge, what I've found is the notes sing out so much better. There's more clarity, there's more sustain, there's no rattling whatsoever. The intonation to sit on this is so much easier and so much more a breeze than the Gibson bridge. So intonation is basically making sure that the open string and the 12th fret are of the same tune. So if this is flat, you move the bridge saddle forward. If this note is sharp, you move it back until you get that right balance between the tuning of the two notes. And you will also observe that if I put them together, straight away you'll see that the TonePros is a thicker piece, and there's more mass, and which for me it feels like it creates more sustain and more ringing of the note itself. There's more clarity. I found that when I replaced the ABR1 bridge, I haven't got that bridge with me. This is an old Nashville bridge that I had from an old Les Paul standard. But the ABR1 is actually narrower than that. As I mentioned, there's a string wire that goes across here that keeps the screws in place. And I didn't like that bridge. And every time I buy a Gibson that's got that bridge on it, I replace it. So overall, I'm very happy with this. It's not cheap, but what you get for it, you get a lot of good, happy playing, sustain, clarity, intonation. You know, it all adds up to invest in something like this. And the fact that the bridge saddles are notched makes it even more enticing to purchase and put on your guitar. And it's a lovely bit of kit as well. So overall, completely happy with it. I hope you guys have done the same thing. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe, leave some comments. If you want to leave some positive comments, great. If you want to leave some critique, let me know. I'm more than happy to take it on board. The purpose of my channels really is just to inspire people to pick up a musical instrument and play. Few things inspire me more in life than actually playing a musical instrument. Okay, well, thanks very much, guys. Take care, stay safe, and stay positive. All right, rock on.